Hi, we're going to be doing a presentation on socials and events, and I'm Ed, and I was MSRC President a few years ago, and I was Activities Officer at Leeds University Union.
And I'm Amy, and I'm the current MSRC President, so hopefully we can give you some advice about how to run a successful event or social.
So the aims and objectives of this presentation are to help social sector, publicity reps and committees to run more successful socials and events. And the objectives are going to be to discuss what to consider when planning a social event, and also how to promote your event once you've planned it.
So there's such a broad spectrum of events, so even if you're a small society and just do sort of one event or social a year, then hopefully we can give you some useful tips. So whether it's a conference that you're doing with guest speakers, or a sports social, or a freshers stall at Freshers Fair, or a fundraiser for your society or charity, some kind of sports tournament, or a performance of any kind, then this applies to you.
So the key thing is to start planning as soon as possible. The earlier you start, the bigger you can think. So if you start months in advance, you can think of all the massive things you want to do, and then you can think as big as you can go, and then you can plan small. So the really important things are, whenever we plan an event, for example with MSRC, we always think, yeah, we really want to have all these really cool ideas. Everyone kind of like throws in their ideas, but then we have to get down to the minutiae, like how are we going to achieve this? So that's the really important thing. Think as big as you want, and then plan small. How are you going to make it happen? How are you going to be able to promote it? How are you going to be able to collect money from people to make the event happen? How are you going to book acts or performances? You're always going to run into difficulties as well. That's another reason to plan ahead. There's always issues that happen last minute, for example.
So this year with the cocktail party, we arrived on the night at about 9 PM and realised that one of the orders had gone wrong, and we were down quite a large portion of our alcohol. So with a lot of last minute planning and lots running around, we managed to sort it all out and get it all done. But no matter how much you plan, things do go wrong.
Yeah.
I think at every event something's happened that's been a bit annoying, but
because we were there early enough, we were able to get on it and sort it out. So the earlier you plan things, the earlier you make things happen, making sure, doing those last minute checks even, you can still sort things out, as long as you don't leave it to the very last minute. You never want to promote with incomplete details as well, so this is a really important one. So once you have your event in mind, you want to be able to name those details as soon as possible, because if you're putting posts out there which have no details on, people don't know when to be keeping free, or anything like that, so you really want to be able to get out date, costs, venues as soon as possible. So this applies to any event, so whether it be a fresher stall, an info evening, or a massive social, you need to be nailing all these things very early.
So the first thing is most important that you get your objective clear for the event or social you're doing. If you don't know what you're going to achieve, then you can't plan the event and make sure that this happens. So it might be that you just want to make money, whether it's for charity or to fund other events that you're doing. It might be that you just want to raise the profile of your club, get more members, get more people to come along, or just to have fun. In most cases, it's probably a balance of all of these three things. So just work out exactly what you want to do, and then from this you can work out your target audience, and as long as you know your target audience and you tailor everything to that, you're going to have a successful event.
So once you know your objective, this is where your target audience really comes in. So when are you going to do it? So you need to work out, when are people free, when are your target audience free? So when do people have exams, when do people get their loans, when are people going on holiday, when are their trips away? You don't want to be planning a big social the week that LMADs do their huge ski trip away, because no one will be around. You want to work out if you want to promote to older years and do it at a weekend, or you want to only have it for younger years where they'll be able to do weekdays much more easily, but you might not get as many older years.
And then the venue that you choose is so crucial. It needs to be the right size to fit the number of people that you're aiming to get there. It also needs to have the facilities that you need. There's no point going somewhere for a musical event if they've not got a stage and equipment. And also, some companies are very difficult to work with, so make sure you ask other societies that have used them in the past, because they all have advice about whether they were helpful, whether they gave them all the information that they needed, and it's definitely useful to talk to other people about venues and make sure that they're going to be helpful to you.
The next one is something that people often come into trouble about, is how much to charge people. So you want to charge people so that they're not going to be put off by how expensive it is, but at the same time you don't want to make a loss, and you don't want to be having to put money in from other resources because you don't have enough money. So it's really important that you think where the balance falls for your event. Ask people, just say, how much would you be willing to go to an event like this, and promote promote good value. So, for example, if you really have like something that's quite expensive, break down the value and say it's because we've got this and this and this, or even physically actually break down the cost. So a really good thing to do is if you're running like a big sports tour or just a big event, ask people to put a deposit down, and then that already splits the cost. So people in their mind it's like, actually it was only £20 deposit and then the actual thing was another £20. If you were though trying to flog something for £40, that'd be a lot harder. So think about splitting down things and comparing the market and saying, for example, you know, tonight it's £20, but that's only a good night out in Leeds anyway, so you need to be comparing to what that money would be going on anyway, and most of the time with students it will just be going on another night out. So think about those things and take that all into account when you're trying to promote and say why your event is really good value.
Also, what makes it different? So many people do socials, so many people do events, so you need to make sure that your event has this like attraction. So people come, are you going to theme it? Do you want people to be in fancy dress? Is there going to be an amazing band or speaker there that no one's ever heard? So what makes them different, and make this the focus of your publicity so people know why they should go.
And then the details, you really need to be getting these sorted. So planning ahead and working out what's going to happen on the night is really important. So how are you going to sell tickets before the night? Online and offline, how that is actually going to physically happen. Do you need any extra props or extras at the actual event? Do you need anything? Do you need to decorate, anything like that? And then on the night, do you need a door rota? Do you need people to have specific jobs on the night so that you're not working things out last minute and actually the night can just run itself and be as completely stress-free as possible for you?
So promotion, this is the next thing. Social media is so important nowadays that you need to make sure that you hit it hard and you get your promo right so you can get people there. So
start off thinking about a marketing strategy. So marketing strategies sound like a big daunting word, but actually a marketing strategy is just you thinking, how am I going to try and promote my event? So it's literally you just writing a list of how you're going to promote it. It's nice then if you, from that list, then put some dates down. So I find the best thing to do is work backwards from the date of your event. So for example, my event is on X date, so I want posters to go out on this date because we want to start selling tickets on this date. And just work backwards, slowly working out when you're selling tickets, when you're going to have posters, when you're going to get the Facebook event up, when you're going to be tweeting about it, when you're going to be telling people about it, that kind of thing, so that everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet.
And people like to think ahead. You'll be surprised. So like regular students think about 2 weeks ahead, so you need to make sure that they know about your event before, so they don't make other plans, so they're free to come on the night.
So make sure your posters, leaflets, tweets and Facebook events and videos are all out there, especially the online presence, because especially with medics, clubs and societies, so many of your older years aren't in the APL, posters don't get to them. You need to be thinking about your online presence, you need to be thinking about how the older years are seeing this event. It's really important to think about things like Facebook events early, because you do need to get as many details in there as possible. It's not something you can just do. Actually, it might take a bit of time to think about what you want to say, how you want to promote the event, and actually getting the details in there as well. And if you're thinking about doing videos, I'd say videos are really good, but make sure they are good, because a bad video could be detrimental to your event. So.
Definitely. And are you going to do a publicity stunt? One example of this is with MSRC in the past, on the day of ball ticket releases, people have come in tuxes, so the committee are walking around and people can visually see that, oh yeah, this is the day, tickets are on sale, as like another reminder, and it just builds hype for your event.
So hype, the next thing. So keep building hype by making sure that people constantly know that tickets are on sale, where to get the tickets, if tickets are selling out. It's a really easy and clever marketing thing to do, to say tickets are about to sell out, because then everyone can get their tickets. Also, the earlier you start, the more snowball effect you get. So if you sell tickets, the first day, we always know from experience, you don't sell that many tickets, but you sell 10 tickets, people go home to their flatmates and are like, oh, I've bought this ticket. Their flatmates say, oh, now I know one of my friends is going, they'll go in the next day. And people just buy because their friends are buying, and eventually you get more and more people buying, which means you know your event's going to be a success, and it makes you a lot more comfortable once you know people are coming.
You can also use other subgroups and clubs and societies as a promotional tool. So if you know that there is another netball event happening or something, if you can get them to come to your event afterwards, then that is just going to increase your numbers, spread your publicity, get more people there. So definitely like talk to clubs and societies and try and convince them to get their members to come to your event.
Do you have an example?
So, like I was saying about netball, MSRC Christmas party last year, It was the same night as the netball meal, so we said to them that if they could get the netballers to come along to the event, then we'd give them a few discounted tickets. So that encouraged them to come, and it made it a better event.
Great. And the last thing, but very important, is your social responsibility and risk assessment. So they're quite boring, but you need to do them. The risk assessment is so crucial. So if you're running an event, you need to make sure you've done a risk assessment. Otherwise, you could be liable for anything that goes wrong, and you could actually go to prison. Doesn't happen often, and hopefully won't happen to you. So if you're unsure, because we're not going to go through a risk assessment here, but if you haven't really touched it in your handover and you're not really sure what to do, just get in touch with MSRC or Leeds University Union, and they can give you a bit of help, and they can probably give you an example of a risk assessment. But you basically just go through everything that could go wrong and how you're going to make sure it doesn't go wrong. And then the last thing is, remember to be careful. If you're doing anything that you think could be risky, think again. You know, you're going into a career where it could affect your career long term, and you don't want to do anything silly. So be careful about that.
Definitely spend time thinking about the finer details as well, to make sure you've covered everything. This year in the spring ball risk assessment, I forgot that people would be eating, so we didn't put dietary requirements down. So obviously if someone had a nut allergy and got into anaphylaxis because of it, I'd have been liable, so I didn't want that. Make sure you do it properly. Okay.
And so to conclude.
So, like we said, make sure that you plan early, get those objectives down so you know exactly what you're going to do, and then that can help you formulate a plan to do it. Nail the details and do it early so that you have time to sort everything out. Deal with the things that go wrong and make sure it's great. Promotion is key, so get the word out to everyone and anyone that you can, and don't forget that risk assessment. That's basically it.
Okay. I think there's one more slide. Just saying thank you.
Yay!
Thanks very much. If you've got any feedback about this presentation or any of the presentations, get in touch with the MSRC Sports or Society representatives or anyone on MSRC, and that'll be really appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you.